All right, Joe, we're ready to go.
Good morning. Today is Thursday, May 28th. This is the Waupaca County Highway Committee meeting. It is approximately 9:04. This meeting and all other meetings of this committee are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the media in accordance with Wisconsin statutes, so that citizens may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting. I'm going to voice roll call, so please say here if you're here. Fred Zog. Here. Lee Luck.
He may have not shown because he had to go to doctor's appointment.
Okay. Dick Rowan.
Here.
Okay, and Joe McClone is here. So I guess that's all of us, right?
Jim Nygaard.
Jim Nygaard.
Jim Nygaard's trying to log on right now, so he may join us later.
Okay, we'll just see if maybe Lee and Jim will also join us. But at present, we do have enough to have the meeting. We have 3 people present. Okay, I need the review and approval of agenda.
So moved, Zog.
I'll second it.
Move to approve by Fred Zog, seconded by Dick Rowan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Minutes of previous meeting, 5/14/2020.
I so move.
Seconded.
Motion by Dick Rowan, second by Fred Zog. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I got to remember to delay a little bit so that we hear Dick when he comes through. So, okay, review and approve payment vouchers. Casey?
All right, we'll go through our payment vouchers. Sue should have them up on the screen, which we can see them good. All right, I touch on everything that exceeds $1,000 or more. So if there's any questions on anything else, please stop me and I'll try to figure it out. So the first one I've got is an invoice from Classic Custom and Collision for $6,655.89. They repaired the box and they painted frame for unit 1132, so that got charged to 1132. The next one is Compass Minerals of America, sold us some salt here in Waupaca for $65,523.65, charged to our stock account. Dickey Tool Company sold us some roll-up signs for $5,239.12. Now, that brought up a question as to how much does a sign cost and how many did we buy. And based off of this, a sign costs about $112 for the roll-up, for the stand, for all of that. And so that got charged to our marking and signing account. Fabric Cat had an invoice for $5,703.66. Sorry, I gotta move her. Yeah.
Thank you.
And if you can see, Jim has joined us.
Morning, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Hey, Jim.
He has it muted.
Hi, Jim. Can you hear us now? You're muted. Can you hear us? We can't hear you.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I
There
could
you
hear
go.
you all along.
All right. Very good. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're going through payment vouchers, so we're just getting started right now. All right. We're moving to, is it Fabric Cat? Had a bill for $5,703.66. That was for the rental dozer of our D5 on County Highway I project for $5,276.50. And then some for filters, a window catch, and freight, all charged to Unit 112. Farrell Equipment and Supply had a bill for $7,120.38, which was for purchasing the sealant epoxy for our bridges that we seal. So some of it got billed to our state routine maintenance account. The rest was inventory to stock, and then the landscape staples and biodegradable stakes, that gets charged to our small tools accounts. It helps hold down our erosion mat on all of our construction projects. And so we purchase them in bulk and get a lot of them at the beginning of the year. So that's why it's at that's why it costs that much. Fastenal Company They service our vending machines. They had a bill for $2,279.65. Gets split amongst all of our different accounts. Shop supplies, shop tools, small tools. Moving down to Flint Hills Resources LP. We purchase our tack oil to place between our binder and surface mats of asphalt. So we did some work that got charged to our stock account, and then from there it gets billed out to whatever project we use it on. So this is just paying it up to our stock. Fortress Fence installed the fence and gate at our Helvetia and our New London shops. That bill was for $27,540 charged to our buildings and grounds account. Garrel Oil Corp had a bill for $7,981.87 charged to our stock account for purchasing diesel fuel to fuel up at our Larrabee shop. Creation Disposal and Recycling had an invoice for $1,277 for picking up our garbage and also what we collect out on the state highways. So it gets split 50-50. Half gets charged to the county for buildings and grounds. The rest the state picks up for the other half, which majority of it's litter pickup on the state highways, tires and that type of stuff. Granger had a bill for $2,281.39 charged to shop supplies, our small tools accounts, and our buildings and grounds account. MCC sold us some gravel for $24,692.03. MCC has been supplying gravel to us primarily for our County Highway I project. So that's where a majority of it had went. A lot of it was purchased then for chips for chip sealing. So our chips are all pre-staged at our shops, ready for our chip sealing show coming here in July. And then the rest got charged to the town of Royalton and then County Section 4. McMahon and Associates invoiced us for their professional services at the O'Brien site for $7,024.81. I will go ahead and elaborate more on that during the commissioner's report on the progress that we're making there. Mid-States Equipment had a bill for $5,397.60 charged to our stock account in Unit 1169. Northeast Asphalt sold us some asphalt for $15,560.75. That gets charged to our bituminous account, and then from there it got billed out to the village of Big Falls. And then we did quite a bit of asphalt wedging on County Highway E north of Big Falls, kind of falling apart. So we're wedging it to keep the rutting at a minimum. RT Vision provides administrative services to support our time clock, our timekeeping system, and upgrades for that. So this is an annual invoice for $1,915.55 charged to our administration account for that support service. US Oil sold us some 15W40 oil, some hoist oil charged to our stock account for $2,963.47. Paca County Sheriff invoiced us for their 2020 spring weight limit enforcement. It just getting a little bit of feedback from the Sheriff's Department and the coronavirus and just the way things panned out. They did a little less patrolling than they have in the years past, which is fine because the word was still out there. We still got all of our permits. And in fact, we got a little extra from what we had seen in the years past as far as people filling out permits. So we can relate.
So we should be money ahead on that.
Money ahead on it.
Compared to other.
Years, yep. We are. We do give the Sheriff's Department about a $10,000
Window to work.
yeah, within the window. And we say, once you start hitting close to that, based on the weather, and if we need to extend the spring weight limit patrolling season, then please give us permission. But at this point, we only had about just under $7,000 worth of labor and patrol performed.
That's based on the permits itself, right?
It covers our permits. And the spring weight limit season has a lot to do with it. If it gets really warm and stays warm really for a long time, like it did this year, then we just pull the weight limits off and we don't need the enforcement. Sometimes it gets extended and we need more enforcement. Wapaka Water Utility had an invoice for $1,577.06 charged to our buildings and grounds account for water and sewer here in Wapaka. We Energies had an invoice for $7,499.70 charged to our buildings and grounds account. That was for filling up the LP gas at the Larrabee. I'm sorry, not the LP. That's natural gas at the Larrabee shop, correct, Mark? That's,
Yeah, that's natural gas at Larrabee.
Helvetia's our LP.
Yes.
And then the rest was for the electrical bill here in Wapaka for the other $6,941. Wisconsin Department of Transportation sent us a bill for $2,901.84. That is for DOT oversight for the Double B Bridge project located at the intersection of B and Double B, just north of Royalton or south of Manawa. And then the last one I've got for that is Wisconsin Kenworth for $2,491.67. That got charged to shop supplies, our stock account, and then the heater boxes for parts for $11.78. And then we returned a few parts. We did get some returned money back from Kenworth for unit 1177 as we're building our trucks. So that primarily concludes the invoices for this payment batch register for $231,732.28, of which a lot of it was diesel fuel and salt.
I need a motion to approve $231,732.28, please.
So move to approve.
Second.
I'll second that.
Jim Nygaard.
Motion to approve, Fred Zog, second by Jim Nygaard. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving forward, discussion regarding broadband tower placed at Larrabee Shop property. Dave Teal.
So with us, we've got our economic development manager or director, David Teal. And so Dave, I'm going to let you have the floor. In front of you, there should be some handouts, which shows a map of Wisconsin. And then Sue also has it up on the map. So Dave, I'm going to leave it up to you.
Okay, thanks, Casey. Yeah, that's actually just a map of Wapaka County that Ryan and the GIS department put together showing the existing towers in the county. And I'll get to that in a second. First, I just want to touch on the background for everyone, just in case you don't remember how we got to this point or why I'm doing this, which is the RLF program was closed by the feds through the state. And when we closed that, we were allowed to, if we gave them their money back, all of their money back, we were allowed to use that money. They would reserve it for us to do projects that are limited by community development block grant rules. One thing they added to those possible projects was broadband. And that's what I'm trying to push for us to do. And all we can do inside a broadband project is actually infrastructure. So I'm trying to see if we can get a couple of towers in place to expand broadband in our county via Wapaka Online is owned by the city of Wapaka. It's one of two municipal internet service providers in the state. After those two were in place, the private telecoms cut that off by getting the legislature to pass a law. So we really kind of have an advantage because Ryan and I have been looking at ways to expand broadband throughout the county, believing it's very crucial to the future. This pandemic is only proving to us how crucial this is. And so when we talk to the private telecoms, they of course will not go into areas that it's not profitable for them to be in. So a lot of our rural areas in the county will not get good broadband coverage because it doesn't make economic sense for the telecoms to go there. But we have publicly owned ISP, so we have a leg up on a lot of areas where we could actually solve this problem. And this is part of that solution. So I think a couple people were part of the Parks and Rec committee when Ryan and I came there. Jim and Joe, were you guys part of that committee?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, okay.
I'm a land and water.
Okay. But anyways, we have the ability to put 2 towers in place, and we're kind of on the clock here. I have to have an application approved by the state by January 31st, 2020. So for us to go out and secure private land, one thing, it will cost us to do that, which takes away from the money that we want to use to purchase the towers and put them up. And 2, it takes a lot of time to do that. And you got to jump through a lot of hoops. So based on the areas that Wapaka Online we're looking at that would help us, expand broadband into areas that made a lot of sense for us to try to get it into areas that don't have good coverage. They came up with a list of areas, and I wanted to match those up with possible county-owned land. So one, the Parks and Rec committee approved that the PTF would be one spot that we could use. So
Fred was also on that committee at the time. He's not at Parks anymore, but he was there when this was approved also.
Okay, good. I thought somebody was. And so now, since that time, we were looking for a second location, and something popped up in the middle of all this. And what happened was, the health crisis hit, and all the schools closed, and they were trying to do online learning with their students. And Clintonville was having a heck of a time because they have a lot of families that don't have access to high-speed broadband. So that area, that northeast corner, is by far our worst spot. And so I've been communicating with David Deeb, who's the superintendent, and they actually did a survey of their families to see who does have high speed, who doesn't, and kind of we covered that whole, what the coverage is in that area. It's pretty poor. And Wapaka Online's been working on this with me, and basically it pointed out to me that if we got a tower in that area, that really could help their needs out specifically. And I know that there's a ton of other people in that area that don't have kids that also suffer from the same problem. So then I emailed Casey and asked if it was possible for us to put that other tower on the highway facility along 45 in the town of Larrabee. And it so happened that Casey's been having problems also in that area. So I think the one advantage here for the highway department and for the county as a whole is we put a tower there, Casey gets, very strong broadband, and we'll put that in there for free. That we won't charge the county for that, obviously, because we'll be using the towers, the county towers, for Wapaka Online to expand their service. So that service will be free to the county, of course. And I'm going to let just Ryan touch on anything I may have missed, and also to speak about what kind of space requires to putting a tower up, a 200-foot tower. It's a pretty good sized tower.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Dave. So really the only thing to add on to the, like Dave was saying, working with Wapaka Online gives us special abilities to be far more agile because of the technology that they use. The one thing that to also touch on when it comes to the telecoms, when we first contacted all of them, the reason that created these fringe areas of no reception is that they were accepted the federal dollars of the CAF2 Connect America Fund. That's the other thing that we're working against, is that they have their defined service areas. And so basically anything outside those service areas, they're not willing to do any type of infrastructure work. Also because of what Dave was saying, because of the technology that they use wires. And so trenching in all those wires is very expensive. And when you're doing the cost benefit analysis of going to our rural areas, it doesn't pan out in terms of how much potential customers you're going to get based on the amount of cost it's going to be to extend the service out there. So using new technologies like what Wapaka Online has available makes a lot of sense to use in this, especially in this scenario. One of the things that we've been looking at in this area, in this corner of the county for some time, the town of Matson, like Dave's saying, this is a very underserved area. There's a lot of trees in the area. So that's one of the things that's having this in place there would definitely be a huge benefit from that standpoint. In terms of the zoning side of things with the permits, it being a 200-foot tower, the way we handle these types of towers is we make sure that if they were to ever fail, that they fell inside of the parcel line on which it exists. So typically with a 200-foot tower, what we see are stress points put in at the third marks. So 1/3 up and 2/3 up, they have a stress area. What that means is if the tower were to ever fail, it essentially waffles onto itself and goes straight down, rather than a tower that's going to fall straight. That's very meaningful for this, because even though Highway does have 6 acres out there to play with, which I think we could find there's definitely ample room, but basically the setbacks to any of the parcel lines goes down considerably when you're looking at how they're typically designed when they're at 200 feet. Usually you're right around 64 to 65 feet is what the setback is going to be, because that's going to be that 1/3 to 2/3 mark up. So, and so we work with engineers on that. When we're dealing with towers this big, the engineers give us a plan showing us how they're designed and how they're intended to fail if they were to ever fail. And then we assign our setbacks accordingly from that.
So at this point, thanks, Ryan. At this point, we're looking to get approval for you to allow us to place a tower on that site. And then from this point, Ryan and I would go to the Emergency Management Committee meeting in early June to get them to give their overall blessing to the 2 locations that we have identified. And then the full county board at the June meeting to get them to approve me submitting an application to the state, which I would immediately start working on. And then Ryan and I would be working together on trying to get all the information we need for pricing, et cetera, construction, all of that has to be rolled into the application. If everything went well, I'm hoping we would have this done, you know, by the end of the year. I would love to see it done by the start of this next school year, but you know, that's pretty ambitious probably, but that's what I would be shooting for.
Thank you, Dave. And so the homework that Mark Korth and I have been doing, trying to work to get information sent back to our new Wapaka facility in regards to scale tickets and fuel tickets. And when the employees do their time card, that's all information that gets loaded at a computer at the Larrabee shop and our Helvetia shop. And both of them are having weak signals. And so we've reached out to Frontier Communications and the Amherst telephone companies. We've consistently gotten dead ends with them not providing service right to that facility. So I think this is a great opportunity for all departments and the city of Wapaka and Wapaka Online to benefit. And so I'm not even opposed to if something comes down the pike later at our Helvetia shop, that's wide open as well. So that's my 2 cents on it.
We've got plenty of space up there.
Sue, can you bring up the GIS site? Supervisor McClone asked about plenty of space, and I know that the Larrabee shop, we can find a spot for it. A lot of our property, it's like a big pie. So you can see right here in the middle, that's basically our Larrabee shop location. So the area located where the salt sheds are, that kind of drops down on a steep hill. So you'd lose probably 12 feet of height compared to if you put it somewhere up in the parking lot area up in there. So, but that has to do with setbacks and safety concerns and all that. We'll figure out a spot.
Dave, this is Diane. Who will maintain the tower once it's built? I mean, who would Wapaka Online own the tower, and then we would have to lease them the land that the tower sits on?
Actually, the Wapaka County will own these towers.
So the county then will be responsible for maintaining them as well.
They will be. I'm going to suggest to the county board that they, at the end of the project, it takes 2 years to complete the community development block grant project, and the state signs off on that. I'm going to advise the county actually to basically give those towers to the Economic Development Corporation and let them maintain those towers. And eventually you can sell space on those towers to cell phone companies. And it would be a way for the Economic Development Corporation to generate some revenue, which hopefully eventually would reduce the amount of revenue that's being supplied by the municipalities to the corporation, have become more self-sustaining. That's what I'm going to ask at some point. But initially, during the project phase, which is 2 years, the county really is responsible for those towers and for that project.
So someone on the county level would have to be responsible for the RFP and the bid process and the project management for the construction of the towers.
Yeah, I mean, I anticipate, that's going to be me working for the county doing that, but ultimately the county is responsible to the state for the project.
Thanks.
Jim Nygaard just got a question. Got a little information from East Central a little while ago about some economic development funds there too, Dave. You probably know about them already, but just in case, is there some way to tap into them, being that this is a municipality applying for a project that has benefit to businesses and community that has somehow been affected by coronavirus? That was the strings attached. It had to be to help businesses in the community that had been hurt by the coronavirus problem. So I don't know.
It might be worth a shot, Jim. I know that, excuse me, East Central wants to use a portion of the money that they are going to get access to create a revolving loan fund, a regional revolving loan fund for businesses.
Okay.
And not necessarily related to COVID-19, but it's money from that, and then really looking at the future to help businesses in the region. But I know there's also another pot of money that they're looking for projects directly affected by the pandemic. We might be able to argue something related to helping the schools out.
Yes, right.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
So I'll look into that. That's a great idea.
I'll see if Tom Barron's got some help there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I have good relationship with Tom. He sits on my RLF committee. Know each other for a long time. I'll reach out to him.
Oh,
Joe
very
McClung,
good.
Heard all the positiveness of this, and I'm highly in favor. But my question is there any disadvantages? Is there anything we should be made aware of whatsoever that you're aware of, Dave?
I don't see any disadvantages, Joe. In the long run, this is just one piece of what, when you look at that map, the reason we put that towers map together really is to identify potential other spots to build out this network. Excuse me. I need some
I'm
water.
assuming we'll keep Diane involved, because I know, county would end up with something a little bit more than we have now, but I'm a real believer. I'm under the understanding that I heard through the vine, no statistics on it, that about 40% of school kids are not involved in this homeschooling rate, or I shouldn't say homeschooling, in this virtual schooling right now, and I have no way to show that to you, but I really agree that many places without this service are really at a disadvantage, so I'm highly in favor.
Just another thought, as you look to possible more sites, I'm looking up at the northwest county of the corner from what I can see on this map. Is there a possibility of working together with Portage, Marathon, Shawano County, or Waushara County to the south? Outagamie County has probably got better coverage, but
Right now, I haven't reached out to those counties, but I am in touch.
I lost you, Dave.
He's freezing.
Okay.
You're back now.
Okay. Jim, I haven't had contact with the other counties to the west or north, but to the east, Kara Holman is the Ryan's counterpart in Waupaca, in Outagamie County, and her and I go back a long ways too. So she's already been in contact with Waupaca Online, talking about using the same kind of funding that I'm using here, or suggesting that we use, to expand into the rural areas of Outagamie County. Obviously, the Appleton area is covered heavily.
Right.
So we could be getting some more coverage for that northeast corner if, in fact, Kara starts putting up a few towers in that area too. And so, yeah, we could reach out to our neighbors eventually too. But I think the first thing to do really is to utilize all of Waupaca County's existing towers.
yes, I agree.
And hopefully some of the municipalities with their large water towers, that's the next spot I want to start talking about too. So, if we can build out a network inside the county, that gives us, I think, an advantage when we start, eventually we come out of this crisis and we're back into the same demographic problem that we had before, where we don't have
Right.
enough. So this gives us an advantage to attract people because they can live anywhere in the county, have great broadband connection, and they can work from home. And
Dave, with the Waupaca Online, does one tower have to have a clear line of sight then to another tower, then to ping the signal? And I understand there's signal coming off of Shoggers Hill up in Marion, which makes this site ideal.
that's correct, Casey. Yep, it's line of sight. And they do have an antenna on that tower in Marion. So Andy has, we worked with Andy in a previous project, Andy Carlin, and so he allowed them to get on that tower, and I think the one in Fremont they can get on too. So they did get on the one in Marion, and they have customers already. And then they also work with private people that have land and are interested in putting up small towers and serving little areas. So they've been doing that by building the network out that way. But yeah, this would definitely tie into that other county tower and allow us to, again, go out to the west, go out to the east.
By chance, Waupaca County doesn't have any land on that hill just east of Manawa, that north of Butternut Road.
We have a
That's-
corner at Highway T, and we've got spots in the county where we've softened a curve but retained the right of way all over the place. So a lot of that's within highway right of way, but there is one spot.
Interesting. That my sister and brother-in-law live on that road, Summit Lane, and from their driveway you can see the Waiwega Water Tower, and I'm sure to the north, you'd be able to see a long ways too. So, yeah.
Yeah, I really, Jim, I really advocate strongly that it would be really good economic development for us as a county to take advantage of the fact that we have this wireless network and build a close partnership with the city of Wapaka on this. And we could expand coverage to the county fairly quickly. We would be ahead of quite a few people.
Yes, I agree 100%.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And it really only helps all of the customers because they then have more than one choice for service.
You need a motion.
Yep.
You need to move
and that's a
forward.
really good point, Dave. One of the things that we heard when we sent out a survey a couple of years back was that there's a lot of people that may have, in fact, service, but they're underserved, so it's not strong enough. There's a federal definition for broadband, and so what you'll see now is 25 megabyte download. And what you'll see now with a lot of advertisements for Frontier and the satellite is that they say it's high speed, not broadband, because they don't meet that federal definition. So that's very true, especially up in this Northeast region. We've heard that countless times with Frontier in terms of them, it's expensive and they don't have strong signal or strong enough that they could actually utilize it properly. And one other thing I just want to quick touch on with this map that you're looking at, the point of this map was to do exactly like what Dave is saying, is to graphically look at the county and try to build out that network, to take a look at where all of our existing infrastructure is to utilize. The other thing that you'll see here, this is also a relief map. You'll see the different color gradations on there. The point of that is to show the relief change. So the darker the colors, the more it goes into that darker pink, or give or take whatever that color is, or purple, but that shows the height as it relates to the surrounding area, because that's one of the things that we're looking at with this technology, meaning it requires line of sight. Being able to put a tower in areas where there's natural relief makes a lot of sense in terms of it has far greater effectiveness and reach.
One last point, I just want to point out that the city council for Wapaka has already passed a resolution stating that they want to participate in this project.
Yeah, that's great.
Mr. Chair, do you need a motion to go ahead with this?
We reviewed this and we're just gonna approve that it moves forward. Right, Casey? Is that what you want?
As long as it's all right with everyone to move forward, I agree.
Right. And,
No
Dave,
objection.
Dave and Ryan also, I'm on the emergency management team when you bring it to us, and I'm highly in favor.
Great. We will see
Sounds
you June
Yep.
8th, I believe.
My
the next
suggestion
meeting.
is that we do a motion from this committee as well, please.
Okay.
Thanks.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion. So
I'll second it.
Nygaard, second.
Okay, Fred Zog made the motion. Jim Nygaard seconded it. All in favor?
aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Diane. Let's move forward.
Thanks,
Review-
everybody. I'm going to sign out at this point.
Oh, that was Jim?
Sounds good, Dave.
That was Dave.
Yep, that was Dave. Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. Okay, review and approve retirement resolutions for Robert Police and Bill Jonley.
Yep, so with all retirements within the department, and especially highway committee members, we always approve the resolution after they leave, because sometimes they don't leave. But unfortunately, with the coronavirus, Bob and Bill aren't with us, but doesn't mean we can't approve the resolution within highway department level. And it'll be permanently on file that Robert Fleece and that Bill Jonley are significantly appreciated contributing to the Wapaka County Highway Department. So we are going to give these to them face to face. We'll probably go to their house someday, maybe on our spring road tour or something like that. We'll work it in, or whenever we go to our roads, we'll stop and thank these guys for their service. So.
Need a motion to approve?
Zog makes a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
We got a motion by Fred Zog to approve and a second by Dick Rowan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Very good. So the
2019 financial report.
the 2019 financial report, we have new committee members on here. And so this is something that we do every spring as we go through how did we do in 2019? And it's a breakdown of the book so that the highway committee members can understand or ask questions prior to me giving this presentation to the finance committee. And then I give it again to the county board. So at some point you'll see it if you're on them multiple times. So Chris Carlin is with us today. She's creates the book. She's our office manager. It just recently has been finalized. And so I'm going to go through it with you. Sue is going to be able to bring up the pages up on the big board. And then you should also have a handout here in Wapaka as we have it. So as soon as I see that it pops up on our screen, I'll get started. All right, so here we are with, we're opening the booklet and we're going to the second sheet of paper. This is a description of all of our county construction projects. You'll see that the midway through the sheet, Wapaka Highway Department spent $3,500,000. Next sheet. Fred, flipper one more. Midway through the sheet there, we've got total projects costed us, or we've spent $3,545,045.89. How does that relate to 2018? In 2018, we spent $4.1 million on projects. These projects, a portion of it includes the work that we performed out here on County Highway A, but it does not include the approximately $3 million we spent with our crews building this highway shop. So we did really well as far as what we did to keep our men busy. And then down below is the maintenance portion of it. We had $3.4 million budgeted for maintenance on our county trunk system to include winter snow plowing. The year prior, we spent in 2018, $3.8 million. So we were down a little bit with that. Flipping over to the next sheet, that's the work that Wapaka County performed for the state of Wisconsin. Overall, including materials, labor, equipment charges in 2019, we spent $2,388,545. In 2018, we spent slightly less, which was $2,371,000. So it didn't fluctuate a whole lot compared to the year before, but we were up some. And that's all based off of a budget that they give us up front. Next page, we're going to flip all the way to where it says on the bottom sheet of your paper, it'll say page 10. This is a summary of how we did as far as generating equipment, generating revenue, or taking losses on all of our equipment. But to sum it up, way at the very bottom on page 10 where it says grand total, way to the left, we had a profit or an over recovery on our equipment of $586,140.26. The year prior in 2018, we had a profit of $211,000. So we had a significant increase in revenue over expense in 2019 over 2018. But a lot of that has to do with working at this highway facility and the amount of snow we received. I'm already forecasting 2020 is going to be a downward as far as the money we recovered. It's kind of interesting to look at page 10 as well, looking way over to the right. The second column from the right where it says units way at the bottom, that's hours that our equipment has been operated. So in 2019, we put 272,247.68 hours on our equipment. In 2018, we put 248,461 hours on our equipment. So it's all about keeping the equipment busy to generate more revenue over expense. So we had an increase in hours. Next, we'll go to page number 11, which is a summary of our buildings and grounds. I'm going to let Chris take over from here a little bit. So Chris, page 11, you tell me if you want to send it back.
All right. This Buildings and Grounds is a summary of the expenses we put into having all of our buildings in all of our locations. Basically saying that with the depreciation and the sale of our building included in those first two lines, and then the expenses of our properties, we spent a total of $541,737.52 in the taking care of what we own. When we figure this out to go forward in future schedules, we'd need to take out the salt storage costs for a total of $43,000. So that leaves us buildings and grounds of $498,098 to allocate to the different areas or operations or cost pools that we charge various things out to. So you'll see how that was distributed on the bottom, and those numbers in administration, shop operations, fuel handling, equipment storage, that will show up in future schedules. Any questions on that one? Can move on to. Next one is the highway administration, and this break out Casey's labor that he charges to mostly the office time and administration type work that he does. And then the other labor is Sue's time, my time, and Lisa Lawrence's time when she was here, and then some miscellaneous admin charges that the foreman might charge to that account. It includes travel expenses for training and seminars that employees go to, the committee per diem expenses. It also includes the expenses of Casey's vehicle, office supplies, and then there's our first buildings and grounds allocation from the previous schedule of $23,000. The depreciation of office equipment is partial depreciation of the new equipment that we purchased when we moved into the new building. It also includes the sale of equipment from the old building. And then we also have a $5,700 auditing expense on there for a total cost of $471,974.38. Those costs are recovered from the 4.56% that we charge on our invoices to our customers. So that helps recoup some of that cost. Next one is our radio expenses, or the cost of having our radio equipment to communicate between shops and equipment, our general public liability insurance, and the patrol supervision on the bottom is for Greg and Hank's time and our on-call supervisor time. 45% of that is reimbursed through DOT. Next one is the local road improvement program. Most of the labor there is Sue's time with helping municipalities with their paperwork and the process of getting LRIP. That is reimbursed from the state. The local bridge aids is a breakout of what we did the 50-50 bridge cost share with those participating municipalities. They put their allocations into a pool, and we're the administrators of how that gets spent. So last year was $23,493. That varies from year to year depending on what municipalities are wanting to do. And then change invested sick leave was down $13,000. Next one is the fuel handling. This is the cost of having our fuel pumps accessible at each of our locations. And the labor there is for our employees, mostly Scott Olson, driving around delivering fuel to equipment that's out in the field to make it a little bit more efficient so they don't leave their job site. Includes the fuel truck costs of depreciation. It's fully depreciated out. And then it has repair costs on there. The depreciation of fuel bulk storage is for the pumps that we have at each location. So we did over recover slightly of $4,760. That's pretty consistent with what we've done in the past. And I'd suggest keeping our fuel handling charge at 40 cents a gallon to keep that number in line.
City of New London helps us out a lot with the amount of fuel that they buy from us. And then we have a 40-cent fuel handling charge per gallon, which helps us recover our fuel handling expenses.
Just a question, are most of your tanks above ground or below ground or a combination?
They are all above ground now.
Okay. Do you think you experience much shrink, or nothing out of the ordinary anyway. It's just sun shining on the tank and a little vapor escaping, or at least with above ground, you know if you got a leak.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see fluctuation just on the time of day when we monitor the fuel levels. You know, it'll
Sure.
increase and decrease. The huge advantage with the above ground is the regulations and the amount of maintenance. It's minimal
Yep.
compared to what our underground tanks were.
Oh, for sure. Yep.
A side note on that
Thank you.
schedule, we used 336,000 gallons of fuel last year.
I just filled up on the farm, and it was a nice surprise to see I could get it delivered for $1.49 now. So at least something's going the right direction.
Right,
Shop
Chris?
operations. This is a collection of all of our costs for having the shop available for our repairs. I don't know how detailed to go into this, but basically it comes to the bottom total of $586,494 for our total shop operations. That gets allocated out partially to the highway administration, and the rest of it goes to machinery operations, which we saw earlier on that schedule. We do also invoice the sheriff's department for the work that we do on their squads. It's based on actual cost. And last year we invoiced them, you'll see there $56,559 for the work that we did on their squads. Any questions on that one? The next page just breaks out what I just said, that it's broken out to highway administration and machinery operations at 94%. Next one is one of my favorites, the breakdown of depreciation, which you can kind of look at two different ways. The top half of the schedule, where it says annual depreciation, is breaking it out into the areas of buildings, machinery, and other fixed assets. And then the bottom portion is breaking it out into different work areas, basically. But it's saying that including the gain of sale for the building and equipment that we sold, we had a total depreciation value of $3,441, and then it was distributed as you see on the bottom half of the screen. Next one is the pit and quarry operations. This is grouping together all of our costs for having the pit for gravel and storage and hauling that material all around. Had a cost last year of $330,000, $338,4657. We were able to allocate out $312,000 of that for a loss of $18,528.04. For comparison, last year we lost $4,055.
And one of the reasons we had an increase in expenses of $14,000 was because we went in there with a bulldozer into our Collier pit, which we are the operator of, and we reclaimed a lot of the Collier pit last year, which is located west off of County Highway T on Collier Road. So we did a lot of reclaiming of that pit.
That was probably 14,000 most bit.
Yes. We go ahead, Chris.
Bituminous operations is the next one, a similar schedule of our patching and asphalt operations for a total cost there of $1,959,000. We allocated out $1,981,000, so we had a slight gain of $21,561.67. Next page is a new one, brine operations. This is something we started with the new facility in, I don't know, September, October, whenever we first started making that mark, I don't know, but total cost last year was $7,413. We weren't quite sure where to set the price for recovery on that. I think we did fairly well in that we had a little loss of about $1,451. I submit this to the state for approval for the price for brine for next year, which they approved 18 cents going forward. So that'll be the cost of brine for next year.
So calculating that loss, what we need to do is put down 8,000 gallons more brine and we would have broken even, which is a couple more loads. Yep, which they want to see more brine.
Fringe benefit analysis is a breakdown of the costs of vacation and holiday and funeral, the benefits that we offer our employees. Included in there is the safety shoe reimbursement, longevity, call time. There's a total fringe benefit of $2,336,000. And it's allocated, or I charged out $2,292,000 of it. And that meant that we under applied 43,000. So that'll figure into the next year's fringe benefit rate, which, well, 2020's rate, which is established at 59.84%. Next one is a small tools account. The cost of having all of our small tools totals $72,109.43. We charged out $65,761 of that. So again, we had a little under recovery of $6,348. That figures into the rate for next year, or for 2020 rate of 1.7% versus 1.6% the year before. So not much change. Next schedule is, sorry, Sue, flip that one around. This is our land and improvements. The addition this year is the $3 million that we put our own employees to work working on this site, preparing it for the building. Next one, Sue, is also, yep, that's the inventory of improvements other than the buildings. So there's a few additions for the new building that we added: culvert racking, fencing, landscaping. Total book value then of that is $1,281,704. And then I think you need to move ahead like maybe 2 pages. Next one. There you go. This is the total for inventory of our buildings. Salt sheds need to be separated out for the DOT purposes, but it still shows that our book value of all of our buildings with the new building is $17,505,774. Our new building there is 15,000. Yeah. Yep. And then the next one is the listing of our equipment. And if you want to just skip ahead, Sue, to, I think it's page 36. Next one, maybe, sorry. Couple. One more. Okay, couple more. There you go. That's the total of our equipment there. You see on the bottom, we have trucks, tractors, motor graders all broken out for a total of equipment book value of $6,604,000 and $654. And then adding in our radio, bulk storage, which is the fuel pumps, shop equipment and office equipment for another $1 million. We have a total equipment and machinery value of $8,002,868. Moving ahead to the next page is the equipment that we purchased in 2019 and also some of the major repairs that we performed. And then we also did some remodeling at the New London shop. So that 1.483 million is figured into our assets on the pages before. Next page is the equipment that we disposed of for multitudes of reasons. Mark can expand if he wants, but mostly the age, right? And then because of the way I need to report to DOT, I also have on the next page a listing of some other items that we discarded due to the move. Some obsolete equipment that we were no longer using.
So page 39 really cleaned up our books as far as having to track this year after year.
The next page is equipment that we sold. Took a little bit of a loss on that of $2,000, but that happens, and that's okay. And then I also have to list the other items that we sold off of those other schedules. So I have a little bit of the bulk storage that we sold for a gain of $11,000, and some other shop equipment and office equipment that we were able to get rid of. I think you need maybe 2 or 3 more pages, Sue. And you'll have to flip it. Next one. This is a breakdown of the sale of our building, and I was able to creatively put in our sale prices that we were to get a gain of $103,581 from the sale of the old shop and office. So nice little help with our buildings and grounds allocation. Next page is the analysis of our inventory of materials and different supplies. The first column is what our inventory was at the beginning of the year, then add in the purchases throughout the year and our sales throughout the year to come out with a mathematical book inventory. Way on the right is the physical inventory of Kyle went out and measured all of our stockpiles, and we had multiple people in the shop and counting our parts and taking care of our gas and fuel inventories and whatnot. So then there's always an adjustment between the mathematical and the actual of $54,000, which was actually a very good percentage of 3% change in inventory. And it's best to have that under 10%. So 3% is very good. Moving on to the next page is, sorry, Sue. Is what we're due from the state. It's just their standard report, but the bottom one talking about performance-based maintenance is always kind of interesting. Last year we were had a balance of negative $78 or $78,637. We did perform PVM maintenance projects of $98,677. We purchased some equipment for $35,149, and I believe that was a riding lawnmower. But the state still felt they needed to reimburse us $178,000, so we have an over recovery of $123,532 sitting out there for future purchases of equipment that is PVM based related. So there you go, Mark. Go shopping.
State related.
Yep. And the next page is what we're owed from the municipalities that we perform work for. It varies from year to year, depending on the workload that municipalities have us for. Nothing stands out as extraordinary to me on that page.
One of the key takeaways I had from page 46 was the balance that they owed us $308,000. Well, what happens is Chris takes a snapshot December 31st of what they owe us, knowing that we might have plowed snow all December and they just haven't paid us until the following January. So that's why you always see a balance, which was kind of confusing to me at first.
And then going along with that theme, we've got what other county departments owe us for the work that we've performed with them. That $69 credit for the parks has been taken care of. Transportation services, and then school districts, what they owe us. New London's majority of purchases is the fuel for their school buses. So that's a very quick overview of our financial statements. So if anyone has any questions or wants any more detail, just let me know. I'll be happy to go over anything.
at first I thought this was Wapaka County's book, and Wapaka County created this for Chris to do, but this is the same book that Wisconsin DOT requires from the all 72 counties, or I think maybe 71 counties. But regardless, this book then is uniform with every single county. We don't create this book. We take it as a template, and then we supply our numbers to the DOT, and that helps generate the general transportation aids and the allocations that they give us. So it's uniform with every county. It's just not, it's a template. That's it. Thank you, Chris.
You don't need any approval on it.
No approval, it's just to review it.
Okay. Item number 5, discussion regarding the 2021 construction projects and equipment purchases.
All right, so the reason I had this agenda item up here is because we have to look into the future, not only in 2021, but the next 5 years, and what are we able to afford? What can we spend? Where are our projects, and where are our equipment purchases forecasting in the future? And so we had a meeting with Supervisor Chair McClone and Supervisor Dwayne Federwitz, our Finance Director Heidi, myself, Mark Korth, our Buildings and Fleet Superintendent, and Chris, our Office Manager. And we had a great discussion on where the future is. But what it resulted is that the Highway Department needs to continue to do their homework and provide cash flow analysis to the Finance Director, which says whether we are or are not forecasted to overspend or underspend, what can we afford? And so, Joe, anything you'd like to add to that meeting?
It was interesting. Dwayne Federwitz said that we, meaning Casey and company, should spend some time out with town chairmen and town boards and the villages as well to make them aware of the, they've got to try to improve their road conditions and plus probably raise some taxes, because otherwise we're getting further and further behind and not able to support all our employees.
That's correct. With us supporting 15 townships snow plowing and additional townships wanting to join us, we currently do not have a budget to purchase more equipment, let alone maintain some of the trucks that we have that are pushing 25, 26 years old. And so our budget is for equipment is only calculated based off of the depreciation of the equipment and the revenues over expenses, our profit. That's what we have to spend for equipment. And so we cannot afford to continue buying more and more equipment when the cost of the equipment's inflated, but our budget isn't, and we're not getting as much work from the townships. So them townships are basically carrying our weight on what we're able to have as far as equipment. And we've got a lot of nice stuff. We've got a brand new building. Some of that doesn't take into the decision making of who we do and don't plow for, because you need more staff but having 9 trucks over 20 years old right now is kind of a red flag. And so we need to stay aggressive with the equipment purchases that we have planned for 2021, such as the 2 trucks that are coming down the pike. And also we were looking at buying a new asphalt paver. The paver that we have right now is 18 years old. And its book value is about $36,000. We're going to run it this whole year, and essentially it's depreciated its life out. So we're looking at another paver. And so our finance director and our finance committee chair both said, well, if you're going to continue on with an aggressive equipment purchase plan and can't afford it through depreciation and revenue over expenses on your equipment, you got to take it from somewhere else, which then would come from construction projects or road improvements. And so that's a fine balance on which roads need to be repaired and not. So it was, this agenda item is a discussion on what we had with Dwayne and Heidi, and any input or thoughts that other committee members would want to share. I don't know, Jim or.
Yeah, I got a question. I farm with a fair amount of older stuff, and do you have any spare trucks? Say you're snow plowing and you get a breakdown. Is there another truck somebody can just jump in and keep going, or do you have to, are you scrambling to try and keep up?
Well, about 3 or 4 years ago, we had no spares. Our spare plow equipment was a grader. And so over this aggressive truck replacement plan that Mark has had in our committee, we're starting to see the spares starting to sit during a snowplow event. But the spares we have are 25 to 28 years old, and not that we can't manufacture or get a part for a spare, but it's hard to find parts for these 28-year-old trucks anymore. And so I still think it's nice to have a good spare versus an aged spare, but there's a balance on how much revenue you can collect on something that's broken. We forecasted in about 2 years from now, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think 2 years from now, we should have about 4 spare trucks, which would leave 1 spare at each outlying shop. But them trucks now would be 32 years old 4 years from now. So that's kind of where we still are staying aggressive with the trucks. We still have the graders. We're finding that sending graders out to be the main component to plow during a storm just isn't as efficient that the towns would prefer because of their rate. They're I don't know, $25, $30 an hour more. Plus, after you go through with a grader, then you have to come back with a truck that has sand anyway. And so you don't gain a whole lot by having a grader as your primary machine to plow snow in a town because of the rework, having to come back and sand everything. But
Well, then the other thing is if you pick up another town or two, there goes your spares because that'll be dedicated to those. Right. Okay.
so that's the discussion for this agenda item. It was to make the whole committee aware of that meeting we had. Right now, Chris has submitted 1 or 2 of the cost pool cash flow analysis. I think she's got buildings and grounds, Chris, submitted. And the next thing we're doing is equipment. And so any questions on this agenda item? All right, very good. Next is agenda item number 6, where we talk about personnel. This past week, Tuesday, we had 3 more seasonal employees join us. So we've got Travis Marquardt, Bryce Upperman, Brett Zilke, all began. I took them out on day 1, showed them the ropes, gave them my expectations. We went to all the outlying shops, visited a lot of the projects, and just kind of gave them my point of view as to what I expect as a highway commissioner, and that's the simple stuff. Be to work on time and dress professionally. After you get to work, you're good to go. But if you don't accomplish that each and every day, you're not going to be an employee here for long. And so the other thing I'd like to touch on personnel right now is we received 49 applications for the account clerk position. And I think we've dwindled it down to less than 10 on who we are looking for interviewing. And so right now, Chris, the manager of the account clerk, and our HR department are working together on setting up interviews. And so interviews are going to take place on June 8th at this point, and that's HR needs to reach out to those that are going to be on the interview team for the June 8th interviews. And so if you'd like to sit in on that, highway committee members, please let Dana Nelson at the HR department and then Chris know, or myself, it don't matter. So agenda item number 7 is given updates on our projects, which turns us over to the commissioner's report, which you should have with you. Important dates that are coming up.
Casey, if I could interject, I have to leave and go to court for 11:30. So take care, everybody.
Thank you, Diane.
See you, Dan.
Yeah, we'll see you, Diane. Yep.
Important dates coming up. We've got account clerk interviews June 8th. We've got June 10th finance committee meeting, and June 11th is highway committee meeting. I'm just letting the committee know that looking down the pike in July, the week of July 9th, we have a scheduled highway committee meeting, and I'd like to take vacation that week. So that will be something that maybe we skip a meeting or whatever goes on. We always work around it. But July 9th, I want to take vacation that week and go up north.
Not a problem.
So we'll talk more about that in June. The committee involvement, we've got our HR committee. I like just talking about HR stuff in this topic, but next week, Monday, we have our final seasonal employees showing up, which would be Anna Holter, Seth Korb, and is there one more?
Tom Trudeau.
I can't hear you.
Thomas Trudeau.
Thomas Trudeau. So we've got our last 3 seasonal employees joining us next week. That will put us with a total of 8. So we have the capabilities of having up to 10, but right now I think we've got enough work for 8 and we're good. So new highway facility updates. We've got Silver Mist Landscape is in charge of our landscaping outside of this new highway shop. I've been in contact with them, and they are ready to fill in the spots in our lawn out here at the new shop that isn't growing. And they're going to give us our first mowing after they feel that the seed has been established enough and the roots are established enough in the ground, because you don't want to mow it too quick. That's why you're seeing our grass get high, and we're just leaving it up to them to manage it. Highway department activities in the shop. Our excavators are busy. Construction has been underway now for pushing 3 months. All summer construction is plugging away in a positive direction. So everyone's staying safe, and a lot of our stuff's getting done, which I'll elaborate on later. Accounting wise, Chris is doing the cash flow analysis, administration and engineering. I've got one note in there that we are very close to sending out a letter to Marlon Bidner and the property owner out there, in that property has been deemed owned by Wapaka County or for the use of highway purposes, so that we don't have to rebuy it back for the bridge being replaced. That letter will be going out to Marlon coming up here as soon as the right-of-way plat gets filed. Construction projects moving on. Highway B is underway. We received the $70,000 additional dollars for adding a sidewalk on the north side of the bridge in Scandinavia. Highway B project from 49 to Draft Road is going well. And cut me off if you guys want to stop me for a project. So the Double B project is moving along. County Highway C has been paved, so I'm getting real close to taking this one right off of the to-do list. It just needs to get finished shouldering and then get painted, but the asphalt's all done on Highway C. County Highway I from 45 to Cluth Road, you should see asphalt paving showing up there the week of June 8th. I'm just going to keep going down. Highway K from Radley Road to the Washera line, all of our ditching has been done and the seeding's completed. That's going to be a midsummer project where we pulverize and repave it. County Highway N, the first phase of it, starting in Manawa and going to the intersection of Highway O. We're looking to start as soon as next week. The next one is County Highway O from State Highway 22 to Double O. Them box culverts are getting replaced the week of June 8th. Moving on to my last sheet. County Highway P, we paved north of the bridge, and yesterday we started paving the binder mat south of the bridge. And so south of the bridge has about a mile of the binder mat of asphalt to get placed yet, which goes from Double N all the way to the bridge. Then that'll be covered. We aren't going to get to that till next week, just because today is the last work week and it's raining heavy. That kind of concludes my commissioner's report and the things I have to talk about.
Okay, we're all set then? Motion to adjourn.
That's what I recommend. Oh, one more, Sue reminded me, just showing where we sit for equipment revenue over expenses. The month of April kind of brings a summary of, we did not plow a lot this spring, and therefore our trucks were not used as much. And so if you're looking at an increase or decrease compared to the year prior, right above the arrow, you can see in 2019, We spent, we had $505,000 worth of revenue over expenses. This year, we've only got $72,000 of, I would call it profit. And so we're down about $432,000 compared to last year, which we had a brutal spring plowing, and we had the new highway shop project going on all winter. So we generated a lot of equipment. It's going to be hard to beat 2019, but I know we can do it. But it's a matter of keeping our men and our equipment and our iron moving. That would conclude all of our things to show the committee.
Adjourn. Motion to adjourn. Fred Zog made the motion.
I'll second it.
Dick Rowan made the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. It's about 10:25. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Jim. Bye, Dick.
Yeah, thank you. You have a good day too.
Put on your good wiper, Dick.
Yeah,
It's
we're
about
getting we're forecasted to get about 2 inches of rain here. It's been pouring for the last hour, and the radar looks like it's going to pour for another hour. So your farm's
Oh,
going to
my.
be wet when you come back. We're getting a lot of rain.
Yeah, well, everything's planted and it sounds like it's all coming out of the ground. So